I'm a clinical professor of community health in the Division of Aerospace Medicine. I'm also a research professor in biomedical, industrial, and human factors engineering. My research career basically is in environmental physiology, heat and cold and altitude and all of that, aerospace medicine, and protective clothing has been an interest all along. The current full pressure spacesuit, that's a pressurized envelope that surrounds the astronaut, has been with us since the 1930s. It was designed basically for people flying airplanes and going to high altitude. And that has continued, really that tradition has continued, so therefore you're thinking about a person sitting down and working controls. We now are looking at a person who wants to be mobile to get up and do things on the lunar surface and on the surface of Mars. That's a very different situation. We want a person who's, as much as possible, unhindered or unhampered by the bulk or the cumbersome nature of a full pressure suit. The elastic counter-pressure spacesuit, to give it the full name, is a suit for space explorers. It's made of elastic cloth and therefore has no joints. The oxygen is delivered under pressure in a helmet, and the oxygen pressure, breathing under pressure, is balanced by the elastic counter-pressure that's applied to the body surface, so that you have a balance between the breathing pressure and the tissue pressure where the circulation goes on. Some of the advantages of the elastic counter-pressure suit. I'll start off easy. It's far simpler than gas-filled full-pressure suits. Yet we have equally good protection for the astronaut. In the case of the elastic counter-pressure suit, including backpack and an external coverall, would be in the neighborhood of 85 pounds. The difference is 85 pounds to 300. Very important. It costs a lot of money to bring anything up into space. The great thing about the elastic counter-pressure suit is its mobility. You have good arm reach, you have good dexterity. The suit is made of elastic cloth, so there are no joints at all. Think about run, hop, skip, scaling a cliff, crawling into a small cave. Those are things you can do in the elastic suit and not in a full pressure suit very easily. The thermal control is not in the backpack. It's a natural physiological process of the body. It's called evaporative heat loss. As soon as the body heat stores a little, it produces enough perspiration to go out to the skin. It evaporates instantly and you get the cooling effect right then. No machinery involved. This is a safe suit. If you happen to snag yourself on a rock as you go by and rip a hole in the suit, you don't lose any oxygen. You're perfectly ready to go. It would be catastrophic if you punctured the serious puncture of a full pressure suit. You'd lose the gas and you'd be gone. This suit will serve for the lunar exploration or the surface exploration. It will serve for launch and re-entry. Slightly different versions of the same suit, and it would serve for long transits, like from here to Mars is a long trip. And if you need a standby astronaut in case something goes wrong, it's perfectly comfortable to wear for long periods of time. But to just give you a little background, where did this idea come from? Back in the early 1950s, the Air Force developed a partial pressure suit instead of a full pressure suit. Partial pressure suit means a cloth suit where there were tubes running up and down the arms and legs that would tighten the cloth when you lost cabin pressure, and it allowed you to get down from high altitude to 40,000 feet and below where you could just live on the oxygen. So it worked for three decades. That was the standard military high altitude suit. The elastic counterpressure does exactly the same thing, except we don't use this fancy capstan system for tightening the cloth. The suit is down under tension. The elastic cloth version was an idea I had in the 1960s, and we actually developed and tested it in that period of time. We had some NASA support, and we got to the stage where it was well demonstrated in many ways, comfort and all the rest of it, and a high altitude chamber test at 80,000 feet, which is 20 millimeters of mercury out of the 760 of a 1 atmosphere level. The elastic version was an immediate success. Unlike the cloth partial pressure suit, which caused fainting in 10 to 20 minutes, there was never any sign of fainting in the elastic version. It could be worn in comfort for hours. Textiles have changed enormously since the 1960s until today. Just a world of difference. We have new fibers from which we make new yarns, and we have computer-controlled knitting machines. So you can have an elastic yarn, which unusually, this is an interesting property, has high power and full stretch. That doesn't go together normally, but you can engineer that fiber, that fabric. The computer-controlled textile machines are wonderful because you're saving a lot of hand labor, which lowers cost. The new elastic counter-pressure suit will be self-donning in minutes. Also, since astronauts come in all shapes and sizes, that's men and women, short and tall, lean and bulky, every suit is custom made. It is a perfect fit from detailed dimensions from laser scans of the body, which then drive the computer-controlled textile machines. New suits can be cranked out in minutes and rather low cost. Most recently, we did make a prototype glove with better materials, and we tested that in a vacuum chamber where we got down to 1 millimeter of mercury. That's almost a full vacuum, just nothing left. They wore the thing for an hour, came down, took the glove off, their skin was fine. No problems. We're ready to go right now. We will develop the prototype right off the bat, and we'll test it and demonstrate it in the altitude chamber and with all the physiology and pressure measurements and so forth that we can now do. I lead a team of physiologists and textile experts. We've been together about 6 years, and we work together effectively. We figure the demonstration prototype will probably take 2 years and cost maybe $3 or $4 million. Under production, we're talking about thousands of dollars. It might be 50 to begin with, it might get down to 25, it's in that neighborhood. So we're interested in spreading the word and hearing from people about funding and partnering perhaps with us to get this thing moving. Now is not too early to begin. We're talking 2 years. We're ready to go.